Katya, a pretty girl living with her grandfather, returns from college. Her grandfather, Ivan Fedorovich, is playing chess with his friends in the courtyard of an apartment building. Having won the game, Ivan Fedorovich heads home to wait for his granddaughter to come for dinner. On the balcony of the courtyard, three friends are smoking and drinking beer. Boris Chukhanov, a new Russian businessman, Igor Zvorigin, a student and a hustler, and Vadim Pashutin, the worthless son of a police colonel. The trio had an urge. They wanted a woman because the day was Wednesday, and on Wednesdays, they always have a Women's Day. The guys are just about to go to the city center in Chukhanov's car when the latter notices Katya in the yard. It turns out that Pashutin knows her. They studied together, and he even tried to hang around her. Chukhanov, as the head of their gang, sends his friends to get Katya. Pashutin and Zvorigin persuade the girl to come to their place and join the party. They say that it is Chukhanov's birthday, and Katya's company can brighten up this holiday. Reluctantly, Katya agrees to stop by for 5 minutes. In the apartment, the guys ingratiate themselves with the girl, treating her to champagne, discreetly pouring vodka into it. Katya objects weakly, but does not want to offend the birthday boy. At some point, she realizes that the guys invited her over for a reason. Katya tries to leave, but they won't let her. Chukhanov pushes the girl onto the bed, forcibly tearing off her clothes. Zvorigin actively helps his friend. Katya resists, fights, and tries to scratch. But how can she cope with two big guys? Pashutin cowardly waits on the sidelines. One by one, the trio ravishes Katya, and afterward they send her home, shoving $50 into her purse. The girl, discovering the money, throws it away in the yard. Zvorigin, seeing this, rushes downstairs to pick up the money. At home, Katya's grandfather is waiting for her. He does not even suspect what his granddaughter has been through, and when he finds out, he grabs an axe for chopping meat and runs into the yard. On the way, he comes across a local district police officer, Alexei. He has known Ivan Fedorovich for a long time and even babysat Katya when she was little. Ivan Fedorovich tells him what three freaks have done to his granddaughter, and Alexei reacts immediately. He calls the police, comes to the house of the bastards, and makes them all sign a confession. The police captain, an acquaintance of Alexei, is especially zealous in exposing the freaks. However, the situation changes when a police colonel, Pashutin's father, enters the apartment. The captain knows him from his work. The colonel was called by neighbors who heard a noise in the apartment. Having figured out what's going on, the colonel asks the captain not to send the trio to the police station, where they will be locked up with criminals, but to send them to his office. The captain refuses, realizing that the bastards will leave the department the same evening. Katya does not come to her senses. She feels even worse when she realizes that she has to go to the investigator to testify, and everyone in the yard has found out about what happened. Worried about his granddaughter, Ivan Fedorovich asks a neighbor doctor to see Katya. She says that the girl will be all right. Ivan Fedorovich goes out of his mind with grief. He persuaded his granddaughter to go to the investigator and even accompanied her for support. In the office, Katya receives an unkind reception, to put it mildly. The investigator does not see the corpus delicti and insists that Katya offered herself, and now wants to get a check from the trio, or marry one of them. Realizing that things will not get going and the case will not get to the court, the grief-stricken Katya goes home. The next day, returning from the grocery store, Ivan Fedorovich sees three freaks in the courtyard of the house. They are pleased with themselves, cheeky, and even try to be impertinent to the old man. Deciding that he will not leave it be, Ivan Fedorovich goes to the prosecutor, and he, having familiarized himself with the case, confirms the legitimacy of the investigator's actions. Ivan Fedorovich realizes that he is powerless. His granddaughter was taken by force, and the scoundrels who did it are scot-free. He decides to take matters into his own hands. Ivan Fedorovich goes to the bank where his acquaintance works and asks to give him a $5,000 loan. The acquaintance first refuses, but the old man offers him his house in the village in return. He explains that the deal is profitable because soon the highway will be built nearby, and the land on which the old house is standing will cost a fortune. This is how Ivan Fedorovich got money. Katya meets Grandpa at home. She said that the colonel, the one who is Pashutin's father, came and handed her an envelope with apologies. The envelope contained money, and Ivan Fedorovich freaks out with rage. He grabs the envelope, goes to the colonel, and throws it in his face. The old man has almost no patience left. One evening, when he was having dinner in the kitchen with his granddaughter, she told him that their acquaintance from the neighboring house had come to visit. She asked to look after her parrot while she goes away for 3 weeks. Ivan Fedorovich sees this as a sign. He takes the keys and goes to the acquaintance's apartment. From one window, the courtyard is visible along with the balcony, where three freaks are quietly smoking. Ivan Fedorovich realizes that it is impossible to postpone it any longer. He packs up, takes a rake and a special bag, buys a ticket, and goes to Moscow. His granddaughter accompanies grandfather in bewilderment. He tells her nothing. In the capital, the grandfather goes to the market, finds sellers of weapons, and buys a rifle. To do this, he had to ride with them by car to the warehouse, where the old man tried out the weapon. It turned out that he shoots very well. Ivan Fedorovich added ammunition and a silencer to the rifle, so that no one would suspect. He put the weapon in a bag with a rake. When Ivan Fedorovich returns home, he learns that his daughter, Katya's mother, has arrived. And she did not come alone, but with a new boyfriend from Turkey. She brings things in bundles and sells them in Russia. Now she urgently needs money to buy back a shipment of goods that is stuck in another city. Katya's mom is not very comforting to her daughter. She asks her to forget everything as soon as possible, but Katya is incapable of forgetting that. After talking to her daughter, Katya's mother starts working over her father. She finds out that he has sold the house in the village and asks him for the money. When the old man says that he has no money now, she does not believe it and threatens that she will go to the colonel. He will pay the money to get his son out of jail. Ivan Fedorovich cannot forgive her for this. He throws out his daughter and her lover and throws away all their gifts. At night, when Katya has fallen asleep, Ivan Fedorovich takes a sack with tools and a rifle and carries it away to the apartment of her acquaintance. Then another Wednesday came. Ivan Fedorovich goes to the yard to have a chat with his friends and watch them play chess. That's when he notices the car of the three freaks and the guys themselves going to the apartment. He leaves unnoticed. In the heat of the game, no one notices how and where the old man disappeared. Ivan Fedorovich goes to the apartment where the rifle is stored, stands at the window, and takes Chukhanov in his sights. He is smoking on the balcony and would be an easy target. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. Ivan Fedorovich gets scared, strains ears, and realizes that the people came to the landlady. The neighbor informs the guests that no one is at home. When the old man aims the rifle at the window again, all three are already sitting at home and drinking champagne. He wants to shoot Chukhanov first, but notices Zvorigin. He spreads his legs and holds a bottle of champagne between them. Ivan Fedorovich takes aim and shoots. The bottle explodes from the bullet, and Zvorigin's crotch is flooded with blood. He screams wildly as his friends call him an ambulance. In the meantime, the old man picks up the spent casing, sets everything in its place, and hides the rifle in the closet. He hastily strides back to the yard a short way, throwing the spent casing on the way. When Zvorigin was carried out on a stretcher, Ivan Fedorovich was already with his friends. The colonel, Pashutin's father, examines the room where Zvorigin was shot. He involves his expert to find out the cause of the incident. It turns out that the cause of the bottle explosion was a bullet. The colonel questions his son on whether the trio has enemies, but he makes excuses. District Police Officer Alexei, getting interested in the unusual wounding of Zvorigin, suspects that the shot was fired from the house across the street. He also decides to find out the truth. The following Wednesday, Chukhanov arrives in his car. Ivan Fedorovich sees this and almost runs to his sniper position. This time, the old man does not want to shoot the freak. Waiting for him to get into the car, the grandfather puts a bullet in the gas tank. The car explodes, and Chukhanov flies out of it, engulfed in flames. At the hospital, it turns out that his legs, back, and everything that was hanging carelessly in his crotch were burned. Pashutin's father is on the lookout here as well. He figures out that the car exploded from a bullet. They found a bullet hole in the gas tank lid. Coming home, the colonel informs his son that his friends are being shot off. Together, they realize that this is punishment for the trio taking Katya. Pashutin's son, realizing that he is next, hides at home in a panic and always keeps a gun with him. Alexei also suspects Ivan Fedorovich. He shows up at his house when the man leaves for the grocery store, finds the keys of the old man's acquaintance, and takes them discreetly, promising to return in 20 minutes. To save his son, the colonel asks his colleague to provide him with detectives and goes with them to search Ivan Fedorovich's apartment. He finds no weapons, ammunition, or any other forbidden things there. Then Ivan Fedorovich's acquaintance comes to get the keys. Pashutin Sr. figures out what's going on. He takes the keys and goes to the apartment where the weapon is hidden. However, a thorough search does not yield anything. Then the colonel decides to talk to Ivan Fedorovich directly. He threatens to punish him if he touches his son. Ivan Fedorovich, however, casually says that his son has already been punished. In a fit of panic, Pashutin's father goes home. He already sees his son dead or in a pool of blood with his scrotum shot off. He does not yet know that his son, mad with fear, is hiding in the apartment with a shotgun. The colonel attempts to break down the door but fails. Then he shoots the lock with his service weapon and in response gets a bullet in the stomach through the door. Pashutin's assistants break in and find the colonel's son in the kitchen with a shotgun in his hands. He is laughing strangely and is clearly deranged. They call an ambulance and ask for a psychiatrist. Ivan Fedorovich calmly walks home after the search. On the way, he is approached by Alexei. He says that it is not a good thing to scatter tools in other people's apartments. The old man realizes that it was the district police officer who first found the rifle and took it for himself. Thanking the guy, Ivan Fedorovich leaves. His granddaughter is waiting for him at home. After the search, she realized that all these accidental injuries of her freaks were not accidental at all. She realizes that their deed has not gone unpunished. Entering the apartment, Ivan Fedorovich hears his granddaughter singing. She has not sung for so long that he thought that his girl is gone, but at the sound of the melodious song, he realizes that not all is lost. The old man's eyes brim with tears. And that's where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to watch more movie recaps videos like this.